Thank you, Joachim. Hello, everyone, and thanks for following this presentation. It's really a pleasure to be here. I was a bit worried that coming from social sciences uh, uh, background, it would be very outlier discussion, but fortunately we have a smooth transition. We're here. We just have this interesting economics presentation. So I think it's time for a bit of social sciences input. My name is Farid Karimi. I'm a senior researcher and lecturer from Novia University of Applied Science in Finland. And as my title suggested, I would like to kind of touch upon the issue of energy politics concerning energy transition in the Baltic Sea region, with a special focus on the case study of Nord Stream 2 project. But let's go to the a bit of basics and talk what exactly mean by energy transition in the region. Energy transition aims to decarbonize the energy systems, shifting from fossil fuel-based societies to carbon neutral societies, while we have to secure the energy supply to ensure sustainable development and tackle climate change. So it's a pathway towards the carbon neutral systems by 2050, set by international frameworks, particularly EU climate and energy policy and, of course, Paris Agreement. One of the dimension of energy transition as energy security is just heard. That's a bit of a tricky question when it comes to energy security. So I want to touch upon it from a political point of view. One of the dimension of energy security particularly pertains to the independency. So countries can reduce their dependency from external actors when it comes to the energy supply for their energy systems, and and also recommended by EU. There is also a preference, and also concerning security, generally speaking, there is a preference for minimizing reliance on non-EU energy resources in the region, particularly in some countries like Finland and the Baltic states for various reasons. So energy transition is not just because of climate change. Of course, the primary goal is that, but there is some advantage beyond the concern over climate change, and that is, of course, being more dependent by providing alternative energy sources. However, in this pathway of energy transition, there are many challenges: technical, social, political, you name it. But one of the recent challenges, political challenges that we have been observed is the case of Nord Stream project, which add to the complexity of energy transition in the region, or let's say add a layer of complexity, another layer of complexity to the energy transition in the region. For those who don't know what Nord Stream 2 is, it's a gigantic pipelines which connect Russia's gas resources directly to the EU countries, precisely to Germany. The pipeline arrives to the city of Greifswald in the northeast of Germany. And it has been a geopolitical hot potato in the region. And it divided the country, the EU member states of the region since last several years, and beyond the political disputes over this project, the Nord Stream project has been criticized for even like environmental impact of the pipelines of the Baltic Sea, wildlife, and sea, etc. And also one of the issues that also has been criticized is the issue that this project could somehow the regional energy cooperations put into the danger, which of course so I think, do you see my slides?
Yes, now it works.
Yes. All right, sorry. I didn't notice that there was freeze because I'm using two monitors, so my apologies. All right. So, sorry, I lost my concentration for a minute. So, what I was, yeah, the issue is that, so this energy cooperation, of course, is a backbone when we want to have an energy transition on a regional level. And again, all of these are in the framework of EU energy policy, which cooperation between the EU member states is a sine qua non of an energy transition. So with this, I would like to just give an overview and my research. This is an ongoing research since last year's, and it's still, I would say, it's in a primary stage of the research. The objective of this research is to, to scrutinize the perception of the Nord Stream among the relevant actors in Russia, EU, and the USA as an external actor and external factor, which USA has a stake in this project. They impose sanctions and last two administration on this project. Although last month new administration decided to remove all the sanction, and the project has almost completed in last couple of weeks. And examine the conflicts regarding Nord Stream to map the risk perception, risk, benefit, and threat perceptions of various stakeholders in the region and the US concerning this project. The aim is to see what lesson we can learn from the experience of this very controversial and complex project regarding energy transition and energy security in the Baltic Sea region. So, in a nutshell, the three major research questions I posed is that is Nord Stream is a threat or opportunity for Baltic Sea region, particularly vis-a-vis an energy transition? Who fears what and why when it comes to this project? And what is the role of Nord Stream 2 project in increasing energy security in EU? I used some different methods and material as an input to this research. Basically, I use extensive literature and documents reviews about this project. There are huge amounts of official documents and also, of course, academic literature about this project. And I use semi-structured in-depth interviews. I aim for 20 interviews, interviewing various stakeholders in the Baltic Sea region countries, the US, and hopefully and possibly in Russia. And I'm conducting discourse analysis to map this risk, benefit, and threat perceptions of stakeholders. In parallel, that as a part of this project, I aim to also analyze how media coverage and see what was the narratives of medias when they portray this or report this project. And particularly focus on a Finnish national broadcasting company, Yle, at Deutsche Welle in Germany. So as I suggested, the research is ongoing and it's in a early phases, but there are some initial results that I would like to just refer briefly on those results. The projects I like what the project owners suggest in a stark contrast to what they claim. There's a big question mark concerning the energy transition I mean, how this pipeline contribute or expedite energy transition in the Baltic Sea region. So there's a big question mark there raised by several interviewees, and there is something that one would, I mean, the document suggests that this project is quite against the energy policy because EU energy policy, because it shows that there is more dependency on fossil fuels. Of course, natural gas has a less CO2 emission, and then we use turn it to hydrogen, etc. Still, initially it's a fossil fuels. So it's a very paradoxical when in the era that we want to expedite energy transition. But one thing that is very important to consider is that the Nord Stream 2 could secure the baseline demands for energy supply in the region, particularly in Germany, because as some of you might know, that Germany shutting down their nuclear power plants, so they need to have an alternative for to supply the baseline energy in the the road to the zero emission in future, while they're increasing their share of variable renewable energy. So in that sense, this is somehow important for Germany. And another very interesting and paradoxical things that I observe is that the demand for Russian gas imports has been increased in the recent years, although there are all the sanctions, all the disputes, etc. And of course, when it comes to climate change and reducing CO2 emission, with all this in mind, it's very interesting to know that the demand in the last couple of years has been increased, and even today we have a quite energy crisis in the EU. The prices has been increased, prices of energy has been increasing last couple of months and so forth. However, one concern that some of the stakeholders that I interviewed suggested is that regardless of everything, they had a concern that what if Russia has a upper hand in a political disputes that EU deals with now with Russia. So this is one of the issues that was highlighted in my analysis. But what is the solution? How can we play this card in this complex situation, in complex settings? Lots of disagreements, disputes between the member states with external actors, for instance, and here in the case of Russia. One thing that was highlighted in analysis is that, well, of course, Russia economy is considered reliant on and vulnerable to energy revenue. So how EU countries could deal with the Russia and when it comes to the energy security and security per se, as to play a card of carrot and stick, if I can name it. What carrot is here is securing the purchase of gas with relatively long-term contract with a win-win price through, for instance, offtake agreements with external with external suppliers like Russia. And what are the stakes here? What are the alternatives here in terms of prices? If for any reason we cut off a supply from the external suppliers, they are broadly speaking categorized in three alternatives. One, using domestic alternative energy sources. such as shale gas and renewables. Of course, shale gas, that's a big question mark, but they argue is that it's polluting, but we have an alternative to clean it up, and that is, for instance, through technology like carbon capture and storage or carbon capture and utilization. And this is very kind of applicable, for instance, for the case of Poland. And then another, of course, renewables. It's quite obvious. I don't need to go into details. The whole process is going towards to have more renewable, hopefully. So this is the things that I take it for granted. But then another alternative is that further the potential for sizable capacity of existing LNG terminals, liquefied natural gas terminals that we have in the region. So this capacity could be untapped in terms when there is a crisis, when there is a urgent cases or emergency matters. There is this infrastructures in the region to untap that and import LNG from other countries and within the EU. And of course, the last but not least, and the issue of electrification. So electrification of the society should be expedited as fast as possible. And we had today also we heard the interesting presentation about demand side in Kaliningrad. So that was shows that the importance of somehow suggested the importance of electrification of societies and economies, which indicates that we need to when we share, because one of the issues that we deal or one of the concerns that we have when we increase the share of renewable energy or energy system is that how to store it, and the electrification address to some extent the issue of the storage, which is a kind of if we can call it a downside of increasing the share of radical change in the share of renewable energy in our energy system. So electrification of the society should be expedited. When it comes to the Nordic countries, it is quite, I mean, a good situation. But when it comes to the other countries in the region, right, the Baltic state, Poland, and even Germany, it should be kind of speed up a bit more as well. So these are the three alternatives that suggested as a stakes or as alternative to secure the supply and to address the energy security. So some concluding remarks. It appears that Nord Stream 2 could be a hindrance for an energy transition in Baltic Sea region, not least for the sake of political dispute that we observe. The case has been going to the European courts between Poland and Germany, and so it's a kind of big dispute at the moment, which hinders the collaboration between the EU member states, and of course, generally speaking, this fragmented energy governance has been an issue. This adds another layer of complexity to energy transition in the region. However, from German point of view, Germany Nord Stream 2 project assumed that it contributes to the growth and security of energy supply. It's in the short run and in the future of having let's say 100% renewable resources. And but from the other countries in the region, particularly from Poland and the Baltic states, the project perceived as a threat to their economy and the political security and their sovereignty because of various political and social issues. And and of course, some other things that was raised here in the analysis, that it was somehow that the project is quite inconsistent with the climate-friendly claims that some German policymakers made, because again, after all, we are pumping hydrocarbons to the economy, and that is huge. And basically, the project is against the spirit of EU energy policy. Not least, again, more reliance on fossil fuels. Second, it is jeopardize the aim of the whole EU energy policy, which based on collaboration between the member states. Do we have at the moment any alternatives to these pipelines, at least to address the issue of energy securities vis-a-vis Poland and the Baltic state? Yes. Recently, the new projects, the pipelines coming from Norway to Poland, which is called the Baltic gas pipeline, could of course boost the energy security portfolio of the Baltic Sea region. Again, just to supply the baseload in the road to the zero emission economy in 2050. So to wrap up, there's some next steps. Of course, financing my data collection. I'm working on that and starting drafting the main publication. But I would like also to offer any collaboration with the colleagues here. If someone interested to do some project together on this topic on related issues, would really welcome any sort of collaboration and related topics or similar topics. Some outreach thus far. Just initiated drafting a paper, see if I can see the deadlines for the special issue of the symposium, if at all. But apart from that, that is in initial phases. Already published some of the parts of this research, and one my edited book called Energy Transition in the Baltic Sea Region: Understanding Stakeholder Engagement and Community Acceptance, which will be published in February in next year by Routledge, and also some other part of the research has been published in one book chapters called Energy Transition Challenges in the Baltic Sea Region. And of course, I try to have some outreach and for the sake of general publics, interviews and articles for some German and Finnish media. With this, sorry again, I was freezed. With this, I would like to thank everyone for following this, and I would be happy to hear your feedback, comments, questions. Thank you.